welcome to another episode of Meet the Grower. Today, we have the very lovely Shield Maidens Gardens here. Absolutely stoked to have you on the show today. You came highly recommended from the also very lovely Painted Lady. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
You know what? Not too bad, not too bad. I mean, we're shooting this on a Wednesday, and I got end of the week tomorrow with a 4-day weekend coming up, so I am doing fantastic. And yourself?
Good. I'm doing really well. I'm trying to fill up my flower tent and get my perpetual run actually perpetual.
Oh, love that, love that. And we'll get to talking about that stuff in just a minute. But first, quick shout out to the sponsors, of course. Mars Hydro, ILGM. Love you guys. You show me the love. You guys, if you're looking for a light or some other merchandise, there's some links down below. Go check them out. Maidens, just I'm stoked to have you on the show. Just to shout out the fact that of course you are a female, and I don't get too many lady growers on here, and I love that because you always bring a unique perspective that I think the guys tend to miss out on. I don't know what it is, but it's just I don't know, Mother Nature kind of thing. It's wonderful and whatnot. So certainly, yeah, very happy to have you here today, and we'll get into it. The first question that I generally ask everybody: tell me a little bit about yourself and how life has brought to you to this point so far.
I dealt with chronic pain for a long time as a
Yeah.
woman. I had really severe endometriosis,
Okay.
and there's no cure for it. They just give you pain medicine until you get a hysterectomy, and I wasn't ready yet.
Yeah.
So I just had to deal with either being on pain pills and how that affected me as being, a mom. I have 5 kiddos, so I can't really be, what's the word?
Just heavily medicated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really can't. I've got a lot of responsibilities.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I can
and
appreciate that.
it's hard to be carpool mom if, you're taking narcotics and stuff. So
Yeah.
anyways, after a while, I was super against cannabis.
Really?
Um,
Okay.
I really was. I really, really was against it. I was all in the stigma view, I guess.
Yep.
And it took my boyfriend, my husband now, but my boyfriend at the time, he was like, let me get you some. Just try it. And I was like, no, no, you can't. Don't do that. I can't do that.
Oh, it's bad. We've been hearing for years. This is bad. It's horrible. That's what they told us growing up.
Yeah, like it's gonna rip up families,
Oh,
and that was the furthest thing from what I wanted to do. So, anyways, long story short, I finally had enough and was like, all right, fine, I'll just try it. I ended up coming upstairs and I was in tears because for the first time in years, I didn't feel that pain and I didn't feel like I had to throw up. I didn't feel, just that really heavy, sedated feeling in a bad
yeah.
way.
Overly medicated.
Um, yeah, so that was a big eye opener for me. It made me really change my view once I realized this is legitimate medicine. Um, and
100%.
and so since then, with the legalization in Missouri, I decided that I was going to jump on board. And since I didn't know anything about anything, ILGM was one of the first companies that I bought from, and I'm still running some of their beans. Um, and I still am surprised every time by what I get. Um,
They have
but
wonderful stuff.
yeah, they do. And it's been surprising. Most of it I really didn't think was going to end up being well. Ended up being phenomenal. Ended up being one of my favorite runs, actually.
Right on, right on.
But back to how I got to where I got. Um, I couldn't afford going to the dispensary. Plain and simple. When it was legal and I could afford it, that was never. So
Yeah.
I decided, I'm going to save up, I'm going to have an allowance, and then I'm going to go and try to buy once a month at the dispensary. And I realized that the quality was always inconsistent, always inconsistent. And I'm already putting a lot of money and a lot of myself out there, you know, and I ended up deciding, you know what, I'm gonna grow. I'm gonna grow my own.
Awesome.
And I've been super lucky. Dude Grows Show kind of snagged me up and took me under their wing and has helped me out over the last 2 years. And I've made some amazing friends. I love where I'm at now. My idea of what I want to do for Shield Maidens Garden is really leave a legacy for my children.
Yeah.
That's really what I'm pushing for, and helping other people out there know that they can grow quality, good medicine, and it's not as difficult as a lot of people make it out to be. I was so intimidated, and I still get very intimidated. It's only been 2 years worth of growing.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's always something new being thrown at you, right?
Yeah, and I love to experiment.
Oh,
So
for sure.
if there's something new, I'm trying it right then. I'm learning patience. It's gotten me further. but but yeah, I mean that's just kind of the roundabout how I got here. I also have PTSD, and one of the things that I struggle with a lot is night terrors.
Oh, okay.
And that's been a big issue. And people that have it, I'm sure they can attest to it. It's disruptive to your entire family,
Oh, completely.
not
Must
you.
must be horrible.
So I have been on trial medicines for nightmare suppressors and that sort of thing, but there hasn't really been anything out there besides super heavy indica that ends up really kind of making my bed for me, and I don't have to worry about waking up with nightmares or night terrors, anything like that. I get real restful sleep, and that has improved my quality of life tenfold.
I'd like to say that your opening here has been probably one of the best testimonials to why anybody who suffers any sort of malady should be giving cannabis at least a shot, like at least
Yeah,
once, like just hey, I'm
if you're
guessing most
willing
people
to
don't
try
try it, but
Tylenol,
yeah,
why not? You
yeah,
know?
yeah. I mean, it's natural. It's just so wonderful because it can cure so many things. And perhaps the strain that you've tried the first time doesn't work for you. Try others. There's so many
Mhm.
different ways to approach that. So a couple of things that you touched on there, experimenting and whatnot. That very successful ILGM run. And I've got questions all around that. But before we get to that, I'd like to know about your grow space itself. Tell me a little bit about what you've got set up and how it came to be, how it evolved over time.
Okay. So I decided that as a brand new home grower that I was going to do the most research I possibly could.
Mhm.
And before I pulled the trigger on buying anything, I researched inside and out what I believe to be, top quality companies and things that I would need. So first thing out of the gate, I decided I know me, and small's not where I'm going. Big is where I'm going.
Nice.
So from the jump, jumped out and got a 8x10.
That is
Um,
going big.
yeah, I call it my mothership. That's where I flower in.
Right
And
on.
typically, if I'm doing live streams or something like that, I'm doing it inside my tent, so it looks super futuristic with the silver.
I love that, the mothership. Fantastic.
um, I got lost. What was the question again?
How your space has evolved over
Oh
time.
yeah. So I started off with HLG,
Yep.
and first first jump was the 650R Diablo. And then I realized that that is a very hefty light, and I need to figure out a veg. Um, because even though you can dim it, it's still pretty hefty. And it
Very
was a lot
intense. Yeah.
for
Yeah.
for just my small plant count that I was trying to do. So I got AC Infinity. I got an 8-inch and a 4-inch. I got the Cloudline series so I could keep everything dialed in. Got a humidifier, dehumidifier, whole 9 yards. Anything I saw that I thought this could be really helpful, I started using.
Yeah.
And I would say over time, my space has evolved. Now I have a flower tent and a veg tent. So I have a 3x3 and I have a HLG, what is it, 300 LB spec.
Okay.
So I have that running in my 3x3, which is a little powerful for a 3x3. It's for a 4x4, but you know, I like to push it just a little bit.
I'm the same. I like a 4x4 light and a 3x3 space is just awesome. I'm running
Yeah.
the same out in my flower room with I've got the E4800 in there, and it's just beautiful because you get such great coverage. And I think even like veg and stuff, oh, that's gotta work awesome.
One of the things that I really love about these two specific lights are I'm into the Emerson effect.
Yes.
So the blue spectrum is for my veg, and then I have the red spectrum all for my flower. And it's pretty crazy to see how the plant morphology changes based on just the light tone. You know what I mean? It's
Well, and
pretty
we're
cool.
still learning more and more about that now with the addition of lights coming with UVA and get some of these UVB bars and whatnot. And then again, on the other side, that far red, it's
Mhm.
it's pretty cool. And there's so much available for people out on the market and whatnot, so much to choose from. So we're almost in a renaissance age of growing.
Yeah.
You know. So
Um,
go ahead.
Trying to think. Oh, one thing that has evolved is I have slowly started working my way out of fabric pots and back into plastic. Um, the air pruning was not helpful for me when they were in veg. I just couldn't get it to where the moisture
Yeah.
stayed where I needed it to be. So I take 1 gallon jugs and I cut them up and I recycle them, poke little holes, and that's what I use for my veg tent. Everybody's in 1 gallons and they get switched to tins when they flower.
Oh,
So,
nice. Oh, nice.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I do the same. Well, similar anyway. I start off in a solo cup for seedlings or clones, either or, and then from there I've got some 1 gallons I like to live in for 3 to 4 weeks, and then just out to the big beds. So go ahead.
I have an aeroponic cloner now. I forgot about that.
Yes, I've got one too. Isn't it wonderful?
It is so nice.
Yeah,
It
I
is so
wonder if you
nice.
can hear it bubbling away there in the corner. But how's your experience been with it so far? Have you had it long? Have you run many clones?
Okay, so I haven't had it for very long. I've had it for maybe a month or two,
Okay,
I'd
okay.
say. And I kind of figured it out pretty quick.
Yeah,
And
there's not much to it. I mean,
my big key to success is trying to keep the water temperature down. And I do partial water changes almost daily just to try to keep that temperature down because that little easy cloner and that 3x3, ooh, it heats up pretty quick.
it's kind of warm, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I really like it.
Um, I've seen some people wrap theirs in foil to try
Interesting.
to reflect some of the heat to keep the water temperature down. I thought about giving it a try.
Interesting. Interesting. See, I've been going the other way and warming it up just a little bit.
Yeah.
The idea that that warm root zone is more favorable, and I've been having great success. So maybe I should try it the other way.
Yeah.
Always a new way to do something. Whatnot. The thing that I found that's tricky about it is when you transplant, overcoming that transplant shock. So have you found anything that you'd like to share? Any tips maybe that work well so far?
So far, what's worked better for me, I've ran some clones to where the roots on them were just so long that you had to like spaghetti swirl them to get them into
Yep.
just a medium.
Well, once they get
But
going, they just take off too.
they do, and it's pretty quick. But those clones I have the worst success with. They end up shocking way worse than the ones that just barely start to get maybe about 2 inches worth of roots, and I put them in the dirt immediately. So no
Interesting.
secondary shoots, just the main ones. And it seems to be just enough that it kind of grows along with the plant without it shocking it too much.
Yeah, just putting it in just as those roots are starting to form, so they don't
Mhm.
really have to work too hard to get acclimated. Interesting. I'm gonna have to
Keeping
try
it
that.
very wet, keeping it very wet at first and not letting it dry out too much until those roots get real established.
Yeah, because they need to learn to eat from the medium again, drink from the
Mhm.
medium. Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. Now, earlier you had touched on experimentation, how you like to try new things. So let's talk about that. And, do you follow the same recipe? I mean, we haven't talked synthetics, organics, any of that sort of thing. So talk to me about your mix, what you do for each grow, and how you like to change it up.
Oh, I'm a hot mess. So love I love to mix everything up. So
Yeah.
I am a hybrid grower to the extreme.
Oh, very cool.
I do hybrid organics with salts. I do um, pretty much a lot of the things they tell you not to do. I like to try and see if I can do it. Now, I will say some of my yields have been smaller, but I could still do it.
Nice, nice. You remind me of one of the guys on my Discord, goes by the name Mistelos. He's a farmer, like first and foremost, but this guy does crazy stuff. Like, we'll be sitting there talking about, well, try this, try that. Oh, I don't do that. I do it like this, and it's just, how does that even work for you? So maybe speak to some of the entertaining experiments that you've conducted.
Let's see. I love training. Love training. I like to make my plants into shapes. I like to tie them into knots and then let them grow out. I've got a couple of those on my Instagram that people could check out. I also like
Down
to
below.
grow bonsai. Yeah, link below. Um, I also love to bonsai cannabis.
Very cool.
It is so much fun, and I've gotten in trouble because, you're not supposed to let the roots show because you're, trying to grow your buds, but you can do both, and it can both be successful and beautiful. Um, I think a lot of people just kind of look at it as, oh, that's a plant, but I kind of maybe from a woman's side, it's something that I'm nurturing. It's very much like my children.
Mhm.
They get crabby. If I touch them, sometimes they're like, "Ooh." And then other times they're like, "I love it."
Yeah.
It
And each
just
one's
depends
different too. That's the fun part about it, seeing what they like, what they
on
don't like.
personality. Yes, absolutely. And I think that's what gives them, the little quirks and the personality. I love mutants. I love mutants.
Oh, fun.
Anything, oh man, anything that's gonna do something weird, give it to me. I love it. Most people pinch them, get rid of them. That's not me. I save those, and those become like my centerpieces. I love
Oh yeah.
them.
Oh, that's fantastic. Uniqueness in the groom. And there's no wrong way to do it. The people who say there are, well, they can just take a flying leap because the hell with it. Enjoy yourself. You should have fun in the garden. Enjoy the plant and what it can give back to you. Like, that's just awesome. Tell me about your favorite grow.
Hmm. Okay, so probably that's a tough one because every single grow is my favorite grow. I have learned
They are fun.
something I've learned something so fundamental in each grow that it's hard to single it out and say, this one was my favorite. Um, each one has helped me evolve into a better farmer. Um, I would say probably one of my all-time favorite runs would be my heavy hitters mix that I got from ILGM.
Okay. What was in that?
So I ran their Gorilla Glue,
Yep.
and then I ran Blue Dream and MK Ultra.
I've only tried the Gorilla Glue from them. I've got the MK Ultra. I've got some Blue Dream Beans, and they're sitting there waiting to be popped. How did you like them? Tell me about the plants themselves.
That's when I learned plant expression. That's when I
Ah,
learned, oh my goodness, each one is so individual. And that's also where I learned that each plant is an individual, even though it's from the same bag. It
yeah.
doesn't mean that it's going to end up the exact same as
Oh,
its sister.
totally, totally.
And that just blew my mind. And that totally opened everything up for, okay, well, now what? How do you pick your favorite one? And then, okay, this is how genetics is. This is how breeding is. You pick your favorite ones and you build up to what you need.
Yeah.
It's a very tailored style of medicating, I think.
Oh,
Um,
100%. I've talked about this on the show before. One of the things I'd like to see in in the near future would be the ability to select terpene profiles and blend rosins, for example, to get
yeah,
that exact medicine that you need.
yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, I think that would be pretty great. We also need to come up with, there are some people like myself who struggle with edibles. I cannot find hardly anything at all that works.
Yep.
There has been one person out there, bless her soul. She goes by One Stoner, Three Cats. She ended up making me some of her homemade trail mix
Okay.
that she doused in can of butter and froze and sent it to me.
Interesting.
So um, within, I don't know, maybe a couple hours after popping a handful of the trail mix, my husband was sending her a message and saying, "This is the happiest I've seen her since we got married. Like this is amazing. Whatever
Love
you
it.
did was awesome because we've been trying everything. I've been making my own, and I'm knocking everybody out but me."
A very similar experience to what I have. I don't know if it's my metabolism. Like, they work for me at night. Like edibles work at
Okay.
night. I use them to help me sleep. I get that
Mhm.
relief. But if I'm using them for enjoyment, just I can't get anything out of it except for again, like you say, it's got to be a special mix. For me, I find a good heavy quantity of mango in there.
Okay.
What I've read is there's myrcene in mango as well, and that can help with the absorption into the brain. More studies are required, though. I found like one paper randomly on the internet sort of talked roughly about it, so I don't know
That's
if
fun.
that's what's working. But yeah, and definitely those of us out there who just don't benefit from edibles.
Yeah. Except for this one woman, bless her heart. She finally told me. I said, "What was your secret? How did you make that? What on earth?" Because she kept telling me, "I bet you I can make something that would work for you. I bet you I could make something that would work." And I told her, "Please don't waste your money. Please don't waste your time. Like, I feel bad. Don't, it's not going to work that good." And she's like, "Just try it."
Challenge accepted.
Yeah. So I ended up trying it, and she told me it was 30 grams of RSO.
Okay, that's a hefty
And
dose.
she mixed that in with, some can of butter that she had made, and then coated all that fruit and everything in it and stuck it in the freezer. And that
Interesting.
was what it took. I think part of it was that it was frozen, so sublingually, I was able to absorb it more. I was able to keep it under my tongue longer,
Yeah.
um, and I think that helped me absorb it better. But there has been different studies about people with liver enzyme deficiencies that can't process cannabis with their liver like that.
Hmm.
So worth looking
Hmm.
into.
Definitely, definitely, and maybe getting some trail mix.
Yeah.
Okay, let's turn the boat in another direction. Talk about
Sure.
bugs. What do we
Yes.
do for IPM? You ever have any major issues with pests?
No,
Good,
never.
good.
Um, I am a super clean grower.
Yeah,
Prevention is big.
100%.
But the other thing is, I have a pretty unique IPM.
Tell me about
I raise jumping spiders.
it. Love it. Love
And
it.
when they have babies, they get let go because the babies will eat things as tiny as the those
Like the
little
little,
black nibbles.
yeah, the fungus gnats and stuff.
Yeah,
Hmm.
they'll just take those on like nothing. They'll eat them like popcorn. Um, and it's fun. They have little personalities. They're very inquisitive and they're not scary. They look kind of scary, I guess, but they're like the puppy dogs of all spiders. They're really funny, really funny.
That is awesome. So,
Yeah.
do you have any problems with like webbing or anything like that?
So in veg, if you have teeny tiny babies, they typically do a lot of the webbing because that's how they move around.
Okay.
The older they get, they don't really do that. They'll make a little web over in a corner, and that's kind of their sleeping bag that they stay in. So they don't just web up all over the place.
Interesting.
And they jump from place to place, so they don't really, webs aren't really how they catch their prey. So you don't have to
Yeah.
worry about that. Um,
Yeah.
but in the veg tent, you got to kind of clear it out every once in a while because those babies will be jumping around and they leave those little silk streams. But yeah, I haven't had any issues with bud spider web buds or anything like that. So
Ah,
it's
that's
been,
super cool.
yeah, it's been nice.
No, I like that idea. It's similar to like a praying mantis, but not
Mhm.
quite as scary. Yeah.
So one important thing, because I do know some people use praying mantis, you cannot have praying mantis and jumping spiders because one will overtake the other and you don't know which one it's going to be.
Yeah, survival of the fittest.
Right. Yeah. And that's not really, it's all love and grow in my tent, not
Yeah.
doggy dog.
Battle Royale.
You're right.
Yeah. Now, earlier you talked about your mom. You've got 5 kids. And cannabis, of course, has always had this stigma associated with it. How do you treat that around your kids? Or do they come to the grow? Tell us about that.
So I, for the most part, am very open. I protect my plants from my kids because my toddlers will just destroy them.
No.
Um, but they love them. And when
Yeah.
they're growing out and they get those little 3 leaves, I always let them go and pluck them. And then they call them dinosaur feet. They look like little dinosaur footprints on them.
That's so cute.
They love it. They think it's great. They understand that it's medicine. They think it stinks. Um,
They're
but
not
for the
wrong.
most part, yeah, for the most part, they love transplanting. They love helping me. When I go to harvest, I'll leave the stump in the pot for a little while, and then I let them dig it out. You
Exact sort of
know,
thing kids like, for sure, for sure.
but yeah, it's been nice, and our kids range in ages from about 3 to 18. So everybody can kind of help out and learn a little bit more about it. And I think that the more we make it common in our language, and the more we really don't think of it as being something as illegal, then I think that would help clear out the stigma just a little bit quicker.
Yeah, help
Um,
normalize it, and it, you're
yeah,
doing it so right. You're educating your kids. You're not making it something that is hidden in a closet somewhere. It's just medicine. It's there for mom.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And they understand. Like I said, they think it stinks. They think that's the funniest part is the stinky plants. But even our youngest one would tell you that's a cannabis plant. So yeah, I mean it's important, and not only that, but we grow other things as well. So it's all just a part of it. It's just a part of life, and it's very normal.
Perfect. That's the way it should be, because then it's those kids growing up and sharing that message with the people around them. Talking about challenges now, what do you think the biggest thing that the experienced grower underestimates is?
Ooh, I think. That would have to be probably the luck of a fool.
That's a great answer. That is a great answer, especially when you see these first time growers and they're just knocking it out of the park.
That's, I mean, I kind of accidentally tripped into a lot of good things.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was my willingness to not care, and I didn't kind of have a preconceived notion of what I was supposed to do. I just kind of I wing it.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
use applied knowledge, and if there's something that I'm really interested in, I try to do a lot of research before I actually jump in. So it's been fun. There's been things that I was like, oh, I read about that. It's happening. It's a deficiency.
Yay! Lack of potassium. That's my thing right now with some plants. But anyway,
Yeah, how do we fix that? CalMag everything.
CalMag is always the answer. Always the answer.
I
There's a
think I'm
there's
gonna get
a
a CalMag tattoo.
well, my favorite is the Christopher Walken gif. I don't know if you've seen it. And he's like, I've got a fever, and the recipe, or no, I've got a fever, and the cure is more CalMag. So
More
more
CalMag.
CalMag. Yeah. Anyway, too
That's
funny. Too
funny.
funny. Talking about equipment. What is the most important piece of gear that you have?
Ooh, my lights.
Yeah,
My
a lot of
lights.
growers say that for sure.
Yep. I wouldn't be able to uh, be as successful, I think, if I had um, chosen different lighting. So yeah, I think that's probably the most important. Everything else can kind of fluctuate a little, but I want to make sure that my light intensity is where it needs to be.
Yeah, and that's hot, real hot. Yeah. Well, yeah, I look at it like that. I mean, having a light that's as powerful as you can possibly afford, and then being able to dial it down as you need to, but knowing that you've got that ceiling there to work within is always a good thing.
Yes. Um, except when you're working with a ceiling in a tent, I had to learn. I had
That's a
to
good point.
learn how to lift all of that stuff up a little bit so that way my lights were not just sitting on top of my plants.
Some of those plants can really stretch and present a unique challenge. That's for sure.
Those are the fun ones. I like those. Keep me busy.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah, week 5. That's fine. Let's take it super crappy.
Yeah,
It's all
right.
good. It's all good. What about failures? Gear that's crapped out and let you down, possibly ruined the grow.
My timers.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
Uh, and okay, so my number one challenge from the jump has been I have too much of a power load. So trying to juggle what things can be running at the same time without, going over and tripping the breaker. Because we're not trying to have any of that.
yeah.
But it's been better now that we moved. Shield Maidens moved, and so now we're in a big house, and now I've got space that I can grow in, and that's been super helpful.
No, right on, right on. And no matter how big the space is, there never seems to be enough. There's always just one more plant you want to do, one more plant.
Oh yeah, this year, this spring, I want to start doing an outdoor feature.
Oh, very nice. Tell me more about your plans. What are you thinking?
So I would really like to just start off with kind of like a more reinforced hoop house.
Yeah,
Maybe something close to 8 by 12 size,
that would be
just
all
so
right.
that I can have a little bit extra space than a 3 by 3. So I have the choice of, throw these out there, throw these out there. And then bring them in to finish them off, um, or the other way around, take them
Yeah.
out to let the natural sun and CO2 do its thing.
Oh, for sure. So, do you only grow indoors exclusively now, or have you ever done outdoor grows?
Nope, nope, never done outdoor. So, like I said, this is exciting. We got a yard. I've got plants. That was one of the things that we had talked about whenever we were looking for houses. Is we both knew that this was going to be, a significant part of our family. So
Oh,
that
that's
had to be
wonderful.
included. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a fun bonus, um, well, I'm not going to give that away. Never mind. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay. Stay tuned, folks. Something exciting.
Stay tuned.
And
Yeah.
that's right.
Keep
Too
following.
cool. Too cool. Yeah. Hey, absolutely. I think the one thing I will pass on as advice to growing outside, just from my first season last year, is accept the fact you're going to get bugs. Like, just
Yeah.
once you accept that, everything seems to be okay. But
I'm hoping maybe my jumping spiders might come in handy. I can just let them go in there. See.
beneficials. This year actually, my thought is I'm going to be planting. I just got this in the mail there the other day. Is it's a beneficial insect flower mix. So it's got flowers that are attractants to all the good bugs, and hopefully we can do that and bring the good guys in to hang out in the garden because all the stuff is going to be there. They're going to want to chill with the flowers. It'll be wonderful.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
hoping.
I'm a big supporter of bringing in life to control life instead of just deleting it all.
Oh, so much that, so much that. I have on occasion used some pesticides, always all organic, and that's after months and months of not fully dealing with the issue. But I'll always try the proper what do you say, life fighting for life kind of thing. What advice would you give to someone who's just starting to grow?
Ask as many questions as you can.
That's great
Ask,
advice.
ask, ask. Even if it sounds silly, ask. Somebody out there's got to know. Somebody.
Yeah.
Um, and if they don't know, maybe they can point you in the right direction. Somebody who might. You know what I mean? Ask. You just always ask.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And that's the thing. Like, doing this 20 years ago, there was nobody to ask. Nowadays, there's YouTube, there's Discord, there's Instagram, so many different forums, people willing to offer advice. Uh, who do aside from Dude Grows, who do you like to watch? Who do you follow?
So I am a huge fan and friend of Rasta Jeff. Um, he has been incredibly helpful to me. Bingus, Bingus is my uncle Bingus. He's been super helpful too. I have so many people that kind of saw me, and because I did ask a lot of questions,
Yeah.
they were like, okay, all right, we can tell you're a little bit serious. We'll tell you a little bit. Just kidding. Actually, they were awesome. And that's one thing about this community that I think is pretty incredible is that so many people in this community are willing to share without profit.
Yeah. That's the wonderful thing. I mean, just free knowledge, free gear. Like it just everybody just
Yeah.
wants to help everybody else out. With the exception of a few people out there, but we know who
Me, they
they
can sit on the sidelines.
are.
That's okay.
Exactly, exactly.
Um,
Oh, go ahead.
so I would say, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask and top off. What do you think there could be to do? Or I should say, what do you think we could do more of to help out the new grower?
Okay, so to help out the new grower, one thing that has helped me out considerably is all of these breeders out here that see the little guys that are asking questions. Share beans, share them. Not everything has to be profit, and that's one thing that I absolutely adore about Rasta Jeff. He has been so helpful. Hey, you need some beans? Hey, you need this? Hey, and just what he's done for the community as well, as far as sharing and really putting himself out there. I think as far as helping the new growers, if you have extra beans to give, let them practice. Let them practice because so many of mine that I got were really great genetics, and I was terrified to run them because I was so afraid I was going to just screw up the whole thing and ruin these beautiful gifts that I had gotten. um,
That's
but
just great. Yeah.
yeah, but I would say that's probably the best advice. And that's been the most helpful thing for me is when people share their beans because it gives you an opportunity to do it a little um, with a little less pressure.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Because having that ability to fail and feel okay about it makes it a lot easier to proceed without that stress, without that worry that you're not going to have anything to run if this doesn't go according to plan.
Yeah, there's been plenty of times that I run out of medicine in between runs because I'm still just figuring out timing and each one kind of does something different. And because I do experiment, that adds a lot of time onto your veg. At least in my case, it adds a lot of time onto my veg. Some of the super high stress training I do, I got to add at least another week for recovery time, or I'm just going to send them in as puny little things and they're just going to come out as a little bit bigger.
Always a challenge. Every time you work with a new strain, you got to figure out what it's going to do. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. That's fantastic. And just folks who are watching, if you haven't seen the Grow with Your Heart podcast or familiar with Rasta Jeff, I highly, highly, highly recommend checking him out. The way I would describe Rasta Jeff is he's very deliberate. Everything he says it comes with a certain weight to it. It's he's not saying anything that's meaningless. He's not filling it with fluff. It's just he's a great guy to listen to. Hope to have him on the show here one of these days. We've chatted a little bit and just can't seem to line up schedules. Very busy individual.
Yes. As a matter of fact, I might be shooting him an invite to see if he wants to split a booth with me at the next St. Louis Cannabis Expo.
Oh, that would be too cool. That would be too cool. I hope that works out for you.
You know why? Because you asked.
Great advice. So, Maidens, where can we find you online if we're looking for you?
Okay, so I'm not as active on YouTube because it's very difficult to not get flagged.
Yeah.
And so I've kind of backed off of that over the last 6 months. But I have stayed very consistent on Instagram. So you can find me at Shield_Maidens_Garden.
And we'll put that link down below so
Yep.
we can find you there.
And then on YouTube, it's Shield Maidens Garden.
Very cool, very cool. So go give her a follow, folks. And hopefully YouTube will become a little less stringent. That's just pain in the butt dealing with some of the rules around gardening. It's just a plant.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as we wind down the interview here, it's absolutely wonderful having you on today. Great discussion. Really like the perspective that you've offered. But I do have that one last question that I like to ask everybody. That's what's the next big thing for cannabis?
Me.
Yeah, you're bringing it.
No, I got big ideas. Like I said, I want to leave a legacy for my children where they can either sell the business and profit or they can keep it going. Their choice. But yeah, I think the next big thing is going to be private gardens.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe private garden parties that I might host.
Oh, that sounds like it would be a great time.
Yeah, I think that would be a lot of fun. Kind of like what you were saying, being able to single out different properties and aspects of cannabis to use it more medicinally. I think that probably, and to explore more of what each one actually is capable of doing, because there's still a lot we don't know.
Oh, there's so little science has been done in comparison to what's been studied with other natural remedies, pharmaceuticals, all that sort of thing. If we had just a tenth of that science put into cannabis, I could imagine what remedies we'd have now.
Oh, absolutely.
So there you go. Okay, well, guys, Shield Maidens Garden. Go check her out on Instagram, follow her on YouTube, and thank you so much for stopping by today. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat with you.
I've had a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right. Have to do it again real soon. Guys, we're out.